What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Untitled Conversations. This is the podcast where we talk about everything faith, life, and the world as we know it while growing with God. I'm your host, Joy, and today we got another guest. Today's guest is the one and only, the only, Jayci.
What up, what up?
Go ahead and tag yourself. Tell people where they can find you.
I mean, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me.
What's your Instagram? What's your IG?
Jayci.Lynn.
Spell it for 'em.
Jayci.Lyn. Lynn, 1N.
Period.
On Instagram. Yeah.
On
Check me
Instagram.
out. Check me out.
For sure. You can also find her at Fort City Music, the one and only Fort City.
Yes.
Jayci sings.
Yes.
I ain't gonna make you bust out a note for them. They can go find that. Find that on the gram.
Find that on the gram, yeah.
For sure. So we're gonna start off. How we're gonna start off every episode with a little icebreaker. I'm gonna have you pick a card, read the question for the people, then answer it, and then I'm gonna give my answer as well.
Okay.
Wow.
Ooh. I always pick a middle one.
Let's get it.
Ooh.
Read it for the people. What it say?
What question are you trying to answer most in your life right now?
Ooh. That's a heavy hitter. Think about it. So many questions in life, not gonna lie to you.
I think probably what I've been learning a lot is just about like the journey and really honestly like figuring out like how God wants to do something. Like it's not just the what and when, but it's literally like how he wants to do it. And so that's been my biggest question, like how do you want to do this? Not like when you want to do this, but how. Because that takes you don't know when or you don't know what in
That's
the
a
how.
fact. That's a fact.
That's the question. I'm just like, how is this gonna happen? How is this gonna work out? That kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Your turn. Let's hear it.
Question I'm trying to answer most right now. I would probably say the question I'm answering right now is like, really like, what am I doing? Like, that's a broad question, but it's like, what am I doing and what's next? I know like what's next is not really like what we're supposed to focus on, but it's like I'm at a point in my life where I graduate next year, so it's like I have to think about what's next logically. So I guess a question I'm trying to answer most would be what's next? Like what is, not necessarily what the future looks like, but just like what is next and how can I be preparing for what's next?
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
For sure.
So now that we got that out the way.
Good question.
That
also,
is.
wait, I just want to say it's an honor to be here in this seat.
No. It's an honor to have you.
It's an honor to be here. I remember conversations that we used to have.
Facts.
That were just seeds to this moment. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm excited.
For sure.
I'm excited.
So we're going to dive in. So today, the topic is ocean or pool. So to give y'all a little reference, right? The analogy ocean or pool kind of goes simple like this. The pool, if you think about like you go to the pool, right? When you go to the pool, you have however many walls at the pool surrounding you, and you can see to the bottom. No matter how deep it is, you can see to the bottom. The water's clear, all that fun stuff. So there's barriers blocking you in. You can see to the bottom. You can see what's around you at all costs. And you can see how, like, if you were to drop something in the bottom of the pool, you can see where it goes and what happens, right?
Right.
That's comfort, in a sense. If you think about it, the pool is comfortable. You don't really have to worry about too much. Obviously, if you can't swim, you might have some worries. But at the pool, people got floaties, life jackets, all that fun stuff. Then you have the ocean. Ocean, in a sense, you don't really know what's out there. Like, the ocean, we don't know as humans the depth of the ocean. We don't know. We can't see to the bottom. Unless you in like Jamaica or Cancun, you can see to the bottom to an extent. But once you get out there, like the ocean has no ends. Like there's no ends to the ocean. And quite frankly, you're not going to see too many people with floaties at the beach in the ocean. That, in a sense, is discomfort for us.
Right.
You don't know how far you can go. You don't know how deep you can go. Because, again, if you can't swim, respectfully, I can swim and I'm not going out to the ocean. But you also have to be prepared when you go to the ocean. So when you hear discomfort and comfort, where's the first thing that your mind goes to with that analogy, in a sense?
Yeah. I think the first thing I think about comfort in the pool it's interesting because it is comfortable. Like when I think about myself, like in a pool, right? Like I got everything I need. Even if I don't even have a floaty and I don't know how to swim, I still got the edge where I could hold on to it and I can
Yep.
scoop my way around the pool.
Yep.
Like you said, like you can see what's in front of you. You can see what's surrounding you. You can see your limitations and you can see what your barriers are because right in front of you. And so that's comforting because right there I can see the roadblock in front of me. Like I can see the end to that. I could see what my limitations are, and that's comforting because I can see that. I can see that.
You also got a lifeguard too.
You got a lifeguard. You got
Most
people
pools,
around you
got
watching
people
you.
that can save you. Where the ocean, that's kind of
That's it. The ocean, yeah, that is definitely uncomfortable because not only is there like no end, really, you can't see your limit. It just keeps on going. But you don't even know what's in the ocean. That was something, I don't know if you mentioned that, but like
you can't see what's in the
you
ocean.
can't, not only can you see the bottom, but you there's things in there we don't even know about.
Facts.
Like it's so unknown, it's so vast, it's so big. It's it takes a lot more.
Facts.
It requires a lot more of preparation. It requires a lot more of faith.
Facts.
It requires a lot more of like surrender.
Yeah.
Like you just got to go out there and be like,
We here.
we here. What we
Facts.
gonna do? We're in the ocean.
Because anytime when I thought about this, like the analogy I thought about Paul in Acts 27 when the ship broke. They out there floating on pieces, and he never lost faith in God. Whereas the people that were out there with him, they were frantic when the storm came, right? They were freaking out what's happening, and everybody looking at him like, yo, he's chilling.
Right.
So in a sense, I'm like, he would have been like that in the pool. So he had just as much faith as he did. Because water is water at the end of the day. Water is going to be water. It's going to react. Like, water is water. So it's like, I can imagine him being in a pool like that. And then just to see that transfer over to the ocean. It's like, why don't we move like that? Why don't we take the risk to be in the ocean in life?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, like, you can kind of compare the ocean to life. Because it's like, we don't know what's out there.
For sure.
We don't. Like, we realistically, like, we don't know what's out there. We don't know what's coming next. Whereas we try to stay in our own little bubble of the pool where it's like, okay, you know, I'm a go to work every day and I'm going to come home. Like that kind of comfortable routine.
Over time, that routine gets boring.
For sure.
Well, over time, like, days after days, I'm just going to go to the same pool and do the same thing that's my
Every day.
comfortability.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it feels good because easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good because that's just how I do it. But you can't go anywhere
Nope.
in the pool. Like,
You got the barriers.
you
Right?
can't go anywhere in the pool. You're going to see the same things. It's just like what you do. And so I think, like, when it comes to life and look at it, and like, comparing that to the ocean, like, yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's unknown, but it's so much more. There's so much more in that. Like, there's just more opportunity. There's more everything.
More
You're going to
space.
see things differently. You're going to experience different things. And that's why it requires a lot of faith because even though it's uncomfortable, at the end of the day, it's still like it's the better place to be in the uncomfortability.
Absolutely.
Where you are uncomfortable is where there is the most growth.
Facts.
So if I'm out there in the ocean, even though I don't know what's going on, I'm out there.
But it also takes preparation too. Because I'm like, you got to think about it. If I'm not just going to go and just drop myself in the ocean. If I'm going to go to the depths of the ocean, you got them big old ships that be carrying the cargo. They're prepared for, you know, those huge waves. Right. Whereas at the shore, even on the shore, it's comfortable. I mean, you know, not everybody likes sand, but it's comfortable.
Right.
You don't have to put yourself out there. Where like people that don't swim are afraid to go in the ocean, right? But it's like, at the same time, if you don't put yourself out there, you're never going to know what it's like to be out there.
Yeah. And you're never going to know the opportunities that literally God could literally, like, put you in your hands just because you trusted to go out.
Facts.
In the unknown.
I consider the ocean like the impossible. Because, like, we realistically don't know what's out there. But then at the same time, it's like, is it really our job to discover the impossible?
No, it's not. And I'm
Right.
glad you brought that up, because who created the ocean?
Facts.
And so if we're called out into the unknown, we're called to have faith and trust in God. Like, who are we to be like, well, I got to figure out what's down there. I got to figure out what's in there. I got to figure out what it is that I'm trying to, I got to figure out how to get to that one spot. I'm trying to figure out what this looks like. It's not even our job at the end of the day. It's not even our job at the end of the day.
But it's like we'll never, I really don't think we'll ever discover, like as humanity, I really don't think we'll ever discover what is down there, because it wasn't made for us. Like, it was made for us to coexist in the universe, in the earth, but it's like what's down there was never made for us.
Right.
Like, when God created the universe, he made land for us. Like, we not fish for a reason. That's not our habitat. We not supposed to be out there. So that's why it's like, you know, when the divers try to go discover and then you got to come back up, that's because you're in a place that you're not supposed to be.
Right.
And you're trying to figure out something that was never, I really don't think it was ever meant for us to figure out what's at the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
Because we don't know. It could be a whole, little water civilization down there.
For sure. And even going back to preparation, it's not even yes, it's our job to prepare, but what we are equipped with isn't from ourselves.
Facts.
Like, the strength in order for me to get through that, the vision, like how I'm going to see it, the steps I'm going to take, that's not even given by myself. I don't figure that out.
No.
It's still the person who instructed me to go.
Facts.
It's still from God, who literally was like, all right, I'm going to send you. You're going to go out there. You're not going to know exactly what you're going to do, but I am going to equip you. I'm going to prepare you.
Yep.
You're going to do it.
And it's also not on our time either. Because it's like, for instance, it's like, okay, God told me to go to school. If I try to stay in school, that's me, staying in the pool. Whereas I know that school is not the end, right?
Yep.
But it's like, if I don't take that leap of faith, if I don't have the faith to know that he's going to guide me through the impossible, through the ocean, then it's like I'm never going to get to what he actually has for me.
Exactly, yeah. That was the same for me. Like, I could have, when I moved here to Columbia, like, I felt like I knew what my next was after. Like, I was like, I'm going to be here for 6 months, and then who knows where I'm going to go. Right. But I knew that, like, that was comfortable for me. Like, I really felt like, okay, I'm going to be here for 6 months, and then, like, I'm going to go here. And I was, like, trying to piece it together because I could see it in my own, like, control. And so that's like the pool. Like, I could see the wall there. I could see that there. I could see everything because I envisioned it in my head. And so as soon as I got the instruction from God to be like, actually, no, you're going to stay. Actually, no, you're not going to pass the exam that you thought you were going to pass. Actually, that's not where I don't want you working that job right now. Like, that's when I was thrown into the ocean. It was like, now I don't see it, God. Now I don't know where to go. Now I don't know how to feel. Like, what is this? What is this? And it's so uncomfortable. Like, the unknown is so uncomfortable. And when you're in the middle of that, in the middle of waiting, in the middle of, that's another thing you got to do in the ocean. You got to, like, wait out with the waves. That's not, we can go there. We can go there.
Wait in the water.
But yeah, you got waves surrounding you. Like, sometimes it's not just still out there. Like, you got waves hitting you. Like, you can't just swim normal. You got to use your body to get through the currents of the ocean. You got to use strength. You got to use endurance. It requires so much. Facts. And so,
that's like
so
life.
Yeah,
life
that's just life. Like, that's just life. And so, but it's worth it.
For sure.
It's really worth it at the end of the day. Like, I would much rather, even though it does require a lot and it's uncomfortable, what's out there is so much worth it than me just staying in the pool comfortable and seeing the same things all the time. Yeah. And settling. Really, the pool is settling.
Because you choose to go to the pool. Yes. You choose to be in your comfortability. Like, that's all a choice. But it's like, at the end of the day, we weren't put here to make choices for ourselves. Like, we're supposed to listen to, I mean, like, we make our own choices, and, as we go through life, that's like, God already knows the choices we're going to make. But it's like, with choosing to be complacent and to be comfortable, you're missing out on everything else that could have possibly been. And then that's where you get to the end of the road, and it's like, dang, I regret I didn't do that. Yeah. I regret I didn't do this. Yeah. But then it's like, as those obstacles are thrown at you, it's your job to pivot and move. As the waves are smacking you, If you don't have the endurance to keep swimming, eventually you're gonna fizzle out and you're gonna drown. But it's like, it's a choice. Like, I feel like, let me not say that. Drowning is not a choice, but it's like, if I'm swimming, right, and I'm getting tired, Lord, give me the strength. He gonna give me the strength. But it's like, a lot of times we don't call onto the right things for that strength.
Yes.
So therefore, at the end of the day, the Lord is our strength.
I'm trying. Yeah, I want to know that. Like, has there been a time?
Who you flipping it on me?
We can both answer this, but like, has there been a time in your life where you felt that? Like, what are some things that you think are common ways people don't or call out to the wrong things? Is what I'm saying. In order to get them through that like unknown, or in order for them to kind of like keep swimming, what are those things that like hold people back or tap people out quick? Because I feel like there's people like that. Like, and I've experienced that. I've done that. Like, I'm guilty of that, where the wave comes and I'm like, well, that's it.
I'm gonna tap out. Yeah.
I'm out.
I would say, like, for me, I think starting this, I kind of almost got caught in that, trying to rely on other people's opinions. Because it's like, if I don't go to God first and ask him the question, but I'm asking somebody else the question first, I think that's where because it's like, people know you, right? So it's like, people know you, and so because they know you, not everybody sees the vision you see for where you're going.
Right.
So it's like, if I ask you a question based on something I'm trying to do, you're going to give me an answer based on how you see me now. You're not going to give me an answer based on how you see me 20 years down the line.
They can't see that.
Because they can't see that. But it's like, limitation. God didn't give them that vision. So it's like, for me, before starting this, I caught myself like asking, like, like, hey, what do other people want to hear as an idea to start the podcast? Not necessarily, God, what do you want me to say through the podcast? It's like, it's okay to ask, like, now that it started, like, hey, like, what type of episodes do y'all want? Like, what do y'all want to hear? What questions do y'all have? But it's like, I caught myself in the beginning. But then, okay, also goes to your parents. Like, my parents have known me my whole life. Your parents are probably people that think they know you the best, but they don't know what goes on in your head.
Absolutely.
They don't know. They don't hear what God tells me. So it's like, I think trying to get that validation from the external force is what keeps people comfortable. Yeah. Because, like, you're always asking, well, do you think I should do this? If they say no, then there you are right back in the pool. As opposed to, let me ask God, like, hey, what do you think about the situation? You gave me the idea. Was it, an idea to see, what I would do with it? Or was it, an actual seed that needed to be planted and grown? Yeah. So I think that's where kind of people get lost. But then also, I know me, I'm an overthinker. I will trick myself out of my own spot. Have done it plenty of times before, where it's like, I think about something that I can do, or I think about something I want to do, and then I'm like, nah, I'm not qualified to do it. Where it's like, or I'm not equipped to do it. Instead, I think we should take time to be like, okay, if I have the idea, even if I'm talking myself out of it, God, do I equip me with what I need to make this happen, instead of just psyching yourself out and now I'm not even going to think about it anymore.
Because we're not really supposed to have it. No, we're not supposed to have it all together. So, like, when we overthink, because I'm guilty of that too. Like, I'm like, well, I don't think I don't hold that right role, or I don't have that title, or I don't have that whatever. I can't do that. But it's like, I just hear God saying, like, who are you to tell me what I can and cannot do with the gifts that I've given you? Yeah. Like, I can put whatever in you, and I can take anything out. Yeah. Like, I'm God. Yeah. Like, I'm God at the end of the day. And so, and I know you. Like, that, going back to the people thing, the validation from people, I think that's also a big limit on people choosing to settle and choosing to kind of just be comfortable, is affirmation. Because you can see people, you can touch people, like, they're physically there, they're giving you the validation, you can see reactions, like, you get that, and especially social media, like, everything's there. I get a little heart, I get a little like, oh, I'm good, people like it. Yeah. But, like, what does God think? Like, does he like it? I think, like, with this generation, have you asked him, like, when's the last time you asked God, like,
what do you think?
If he gave you the vision, I will say, this happened to me, like, not even too long ago. I got a vision from God, and then it looked good. It was all hyped up, and I'm like talking to God about it. I'm like, this is good. Like, I can't wait. But then I took it upon myself to like, all right, I took it and run. Like, okay, God, thanks. Talk to you later.
Right.
And like took it and went and kind of like started doing my own stuff, like started running with it by myself. But at the end of the day, that was his that he implanted in me. So he's going to give me everything that is required in order to fulfill that.
Facts.
He's going to give me the right people to come alongside me and give me that validation that I need, but it's through the Spirit, right? It's through God. It's God ordained. He's going to give me the right tools, the strength, the endurance, anything to get through that. And so
when you said that, it made me think of PMJ said, I think he was like, if it's in his will, it's his bill. And that's not necessarily always financial. Like you said, he'll give you the team that you need. Like, because for me, I know, like when I first had the idea to start the podcast, I was like, how am I going to do that? Like, what do you mean start a podcast? Like, because then he gave me the vision of this, right? Like it being an actual production and not just me sitting in the room, you know, recording on my phone or something. It's like, if that's how I had to start, yeah. But
Absolutely.
like, I know that in a sense, the time that it took for me to get from where I was when I first got the idea to now, it was a constant conversation. It's like, okay, you gave me this idea now, like what you want for real? Because it's like when I first got it, like you said, I kind of took it and ran with it, and I was like, I don't think that's what he meant by, you know, start a podcast. So I think that that's a time, but I also know, like, to go back to the time I psyched myself out, or qualified. Like a lot of times I think we underqualify. I don't know if that's a word, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, disqualify.
Yeah, you disqualify yourself from something that you actually are qualified for. Because it's like on a job application, they say these are the qualifications you should have, right? So last year I was about to apply for an internship, and the qualifications, you had to be a junior or a rising senior. So I was like, dang, I'm not qualified. Where later down the line, somebody that was also a sophomore in college got the internship. So it's like I talked myself out of it because the list of qualifications, quote, weren't things that I had, but it's like, that's just a list. It's really just a list of suggestions.
For sure.
Whereas, you know, if I would have gone for it, I probably could have gotten it. But it's like I disqualified myself before even considering the other qualifications that I had. It's like, and that was the only thing.
There's so many times that we get in our own way. Like we say no before God even says no. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, that literally just happened to me the other day. Like, in my own life, like I'm trying to like find my own place. Like I'm really ready to live by myself and like do all this kind of stuff. And I know like God wants that for me too. And so there's qualifications, right? When you apply for apartments and all of this kind of stuff. But and like in my head, I'm like, well, I don't meet those. So there's no reason for me to even apply.
Yeah.
I don't meet that. Like I know that's not even going to happen. So there's no reason for me to even try.
Right.
But like, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Because like if they say no, then
okay, I'm already telling myself no. Technically, like
facts. But it's also us psyching ourselves out. It's like by me telling myself no, I'm getting my own way because it could be a yes.
Exactly.
Like by me saying no, I'm attracting a no. Whereas if I'm like, I'm qualified for that. Right. Even if I don't meet the qualifications, I know I'm qualified to do this. I know I'm qualified to get this. Yeah. Then that's putting out, in a sense, that positivity. Like a lot of times I'll just speak positively. Like even if I feel horrible, I'm not going to say I feel horrible. I may think that I feel horrible, but actually speaking that physically out of my mouth has a whole different power than just me thinking it. Because God can hear it once I speak it, and the enemy can hear it once I speak it. And if the enemy hears something negative, he's going to take that and run with it and try to do everything in his power to put me in negativity, which is not necessarily where I want to be.
Right, for sure. So, yeah, and just like God could do whatever he wants. Like we get in our own way of literally what could be the next yes or the next thing for us or what God literally wants for us. But we get in our own way of that. So put yourself out there. Like, just go. Just go.
Like, this is very uncomfortable.
God got you for real.
This is very uncomfortable. For me.
This?
Yeah.
What we're doing right now?
Like, it seems natural, but, like, at first, the idea of doing this was never a comfortable idea.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know what the result would have been if I didn't do it. So it's like, I don't want to go 10 years down the line and be like, dang, I should have actually done something, right? Whereas this is me, this is my ocean right now.
For sure.
Like, I seem cool, calm, and relaxed. I'm cool. Like, I'm cool, calm, and relaxed. But it's like the idea of having like putting myself on a platform outside of my own social media, like that's a different scale. But then a lot of times I think that social media also holds us back because we look at everything else that everybody else is doing, and it's like, you know, they could be they could be comfortable or uncomfortable in what they're doing, but by me comparing my quote comfortable to theirs, it's making me seem like, dang, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah. Everything's kind of trying to draw us back to the pool.
Facts.
Everything's gonna try to, the enemy's gonna try to draw you back to that pool, because that's where it's easy. Like that's where he's like, okay, like I'm gonna keep you limited. Like, I'm gonna keep you limited.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, everything's gonna try to pull us back to the pool. Settling for anything less than what God has told us or what He has envisioned in us, that's just unacceptable. Like, I told myself January 1st, like, for me personally, like, I'm not going to settle for anything less than what God has told me. Like, what I've heard, what I've seen, what I know from His Word. And I feel like that gives you, has helped me get perspective of, like, just being like, all right, if I see something in my head or I overthink, okay, is that me or is that God?
Yeah. But that's
okay,
that's the thing that we struggle with.
Yeah,
like, I think a lot of times it's like, there's like the question of, okay, I'm in my head, like I heard this, but it's like, is that me or is that, because I think a lot of times too, at least with our generation, we see things on social media and then we want that for ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's like, is that even what you need or should be doing? So it's like, I think that we allow outside influences to influence our, whether or not we choose to be comfortable or uncomfortable. Because it's like, okay, I see somebody else doing that. I want that. That was never for you. Like, that's for them. You have to, and I mean, I've struggled with that too, like trying to, you know, just be, I don't want to say be me, but it's like, because we are in the generation or in the time of the internet and everything is so accessible, people's lives are, quote, accessible from what they show us. But it's like, you can't base what you want in life off of what somebody already has, because you're not going to get it the same. I forgot, somebody said it, but it's like, you know, the same, if you made $1 million, there's no way I'm going to make $1 million the same way you made $1 million.
Right.
Because your $1 million is not going to be my $1 million. Your journey is not going to be my journey. So it's like, within me seeing that, a lot of times we psych ourselves out because we see somebody else comfortable in that. And it's like, dang, I'm scared to get uncomfortable to get something like that for myself. So it's like, it's not even like the envy thing, but it's like, I think that we have to do like that self-evaluation. It's like, okay, what do I actually want?
Yeah.
Because realistically, I used to want a Lamborghini. I don't want a Lamborghini. I really don't. It's a cute car.
Yeah,
I promise it is.
cute.
But it's like, realistically, I don't want a Lamborghini. I'm not going to waste $100,000 or more on a Lamborghini. But it's like, that's comfortable for somebody else, or somebody else got uncomfortable to get what they thought was comfortable.
Absolutely.
And like, there's nothing wrong with getting uncomfortable to get comfortable, but it's like, I feel like it should be a cycle. Like, you should never just be comfortable.
No. And going back to like social media, like, I don't know, I feel like our generation, and I have a love-hate relationship with social media, because I either get on there and I'm like, I'm just seeing duplicates of everybody. Like, everybody wants to be everybody, and so there's just duplicates of people, right? Like, I'm trying to find people who are really, truly owning what God has implemented in them, because that is what's beautiful, and that's what makes us so, like, different from everybody. Yeah, we can, like, have similar things and, like, love what we do and be completely invested and be comfortable when it comes to, you know, all these, like, whatever God has for us, but, like, I want to see that, like, especially in our generation, like, not becoming duplicates of anyone that we've seen. Or it's good to have inspiration. It's great to have people we look up to. But who are you truly supposed to be? Like, who has God created you to be? Because that right there, that version is really what people need. Yeah. That's what the world needs too. Yeah. And so owning that, and like, how do I get there? How do I get there? It's going to not take being in the pool. It's literally going to take putting yourself out there in the ocean. Yeah. You got to go to the ocean.
And I think also with social media, it's like, it's a blessing and a curse, because it's like, I think that a lot of times with social media, it shows us what's out there. Like, it's good to look at social media, because like, it's like, if you grew up in a small town, that small town is not going to show you what exactly what the world has. Yeah. Which is like, whereas like, I grew up in a big city, so it's like I don't want to stay in, because really my city's not big, like compared to other cities. So it's like seeing things on social media is, like I said, it's a blessing and a curse, because it's like it makes you aware of what's out there. But it's like just because you're aware of just because you're aware of what's out there doesn't mean you should try to replicate
Absolutely
somebody
not.
else and what they have.
It's different from seeing it than experiencing it. You gotta experience
Facts.
it.
Yeah.
Like, I can see it and I can live vicariously through my phone, through other people, but I have to live it myself to truly understand like how it feels and what it looks like. Like, you know, you can like look at pictures on social media, people going to Paris and like seeing the Eiffel Tower, but I'm sure it's different when you are standing there, or when you like travel up. I don't know if you can like travel up can you go up there? Can you like climb up there?
The Eiffel Tower?
Yeah.
There's like
so
an
like,
elevator.
I'm sure it feels different, and you have a different experience than just seeing a picture on Google. Like,
because I mean, it's all about perspective.
All of that.
Like, everybody's perspective is going to be different, because what I see looking around right now is not the same thing you see. Sure. All the objects are different, but you're gonna have a different perspective of it. So it's like, I think that with social media, it's like you're only seeing the perspective that the person wants to show you. If they take a picture with their phone, they're showing you their perspective. But it's like, you may go to that same spot and receive or see something totally different.
What's going on behind them?
Facts. It's like, you're not showing me people don't show you what's going on behind closed door. They just see you. They show you what, because that's another thing with social media. It's like, you're not even getting a full scope of what's going on. It's like, in a sense, social media is comfortable, because I can control what I put on my social media.
Right.
I can show you my comfortability. I can show you that I'm happy. People rarely post the sad and bad times on social media, but it's like, I think that it's the authenticity in those ebbs and flows. Because I think that's a lot of times with, you know, growing with Christ, it's like people only show you and only talk about the good times.
Stuff, man.
A lot of people don't talk about the down, like, we're not always going to be happy with God. God going to make you mad a bunch of times. Like, God will piss you off. But it's like, at the end of the day, people don't show that.
Yeah.
People just show, oh, God blessed me with a car. Okay, but what was the process of you? Like, he didn't just up and give you the keys to a car. Like, there had to be work done in that. Or, you know.
God calling you out, too. He'll check you. How does that feel good? Someone, if you've experienced that, please let me know how that feels, if that's felt good ever. Because for me, it feels like
gut
I have
punch.
it. Yes, he'll check you.
For
It doesn't
sure.
feel good. Like, why people don't talk about that? Like, why don't people talk about, like.
It's not
just
always a great, like, relationships are not always peaches and rainbows.
Yeah.
Like, they're not always.
Especially in faith context.
Exactly. It's like.
I feel like they're harder sometimes.
Absolutely. Like, I think a relationship with God is
difficult.
harder than. I'm not married, so I don't want to say marriage. But all the married people, y'all can comment if having a relationship with God is harder than having a relationship in marriage, you know? Let me know. But, like, I think that it's because of where we are now with social media and the fact that anybody can put out anything, I think it's important that us as Christians and us as, you know, people walking with God and getting to know God and developing our relationship with Christ, I think it's important to put out the good and the bad, because it's not always good. And I think that's a lot of times when people start their walk with Christ, they start off by thinking, oh my gosh, if I get right with God, it's going to be great. And then as soon as that first attack comes, they're like, yo, I thought this was supposed to be good. And it's like, the closer you get to him, like, yeah, the enemy may be trying to get you now, but once you make that conscious decision to start walking with Christ, he gonna come harder.
For sure.
Because he realizes that you realize.
Right. He's going to come at you harder because he's trying to draw you deeper.
Facts.
Like,
he's trying to put it, like, he's trying to be that roadblock.
I just want you. So, like, I'm going to require a lot out of you. It's going to take a lot because I just want you.
You want to know something I just thought about? You know how when you go fishing, right? And you, like, cast a line or whatever. In a sense, the fish doesn't want to be drawn in by that line. So, in a sense, that's like us trying to be in the ocean and be with God, be in that uncomfortable, but the enemy has casted that line and is trying to reel you in for real. But you better swim as hard as you can to not get pulled in. But I think that it's like once you make that conscious decision to jump out in the ocean and walk with Christ and, you know, get out of the uncomfortable, then the ships are going to come. The nets are going to come to try to wrap you back in and bring you back to the pool.
Yeah. And that's what pulls out vulnerability, I think. That's what pulls out like a genuine, real spirit. Like, just real life, right? Like, real life happens in the ocean. It's not going to happen in the pool where you're just chilling, having a good time, sipping on your little drink, whatever, with the umbrella. No.
For sure.
Real life happens in the ocean. Real life happens when you choose obedience and when you say, all right, God, I'm going to let you take me and you're going to show me how to do it. Yeah. Real life happens when there's real faith. When there's
I also
real
think
trust.
you have to focus more in the uncomfortable. Whereas, like, in the pool, like you said, I can be in the pool on my floaty, sipping on my little drink with my little umbrella. In the ocean,
I might get a little
you
wave.
You might get a little wave. You might get a little splash from the kids, but it's like, in the ocean, ain't nobody on no floaty with no pina colada and an umbrella in the ocean.
No,
like, that's,
not at all.
You have to, it requires focus.
Yeah.
Because, like, in the uncomfortable, because you don't know what's coming, it's not, like, you have to be prepared for whatever comes.
You gotta be aware. You just gotta be, you gotta be aware. You gotta know what's going on.
Facts.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
for sure.
I think that that was a great conversation. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I encourage people just to, like, can I just encourage people for a minute?
Hey,
I just want to encourage the people because I'm just telling you, like, whatever is in front of you that you feel a pull towards or a push out towards, I believe that, like, that's where God really, like, wants you.
Yeah.
And so it's worth it. It's worth jumping down the ocean. Yep. It's worth saying yes. It's worth just being like, all right, I surrender, God, because you never know what that is. And I'm just speaking from experience, even though it's hard and it requires a lot. Usually it's way beyond what we could ever think or imagine it to be.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you're not going to get that in the pool.
No.
You're not gonna get that just chilling. You're gonna get that when your faith is elevated and when you gotta wrestle a little bit with God and you gotta ask hard questions. So just jump out there, say yes, do it. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it.
And it's not always gonna be easy either. Like I think a lot of times we also, like, people that are starting on their walk with Christ always have that question of, where do I start?
Right.
I feel like it's overcomplicated. Just start with talking to him. Mm-hmm. You may not hear back immediately, but it takes that time to build that relationship. The more you start talking to him, the more you read the word, that's when that shift internally will happen. Because it's like, a lot of times it takes that, like, encounter, right? And it's like, even before that encounter, you have to seek him in order for him to seek you. He's always watching over us. Like, he's never gonna leave us nor forsake us.
He knows us.
He wants us to, you know, seek him. So that's a wrap on that.
For sure.
Before we go, I have on God Be God and By Bread for Christ. Shout out to B Moody. Y'all go follow the page at Bread 4 Christ. And then Jayci got on.
I got some merch.
Got some merch on too.
And God I Flex. By CJ King. CJ King. Look him up. I think it's
CJ King on Instagram too.
CJ King on Instagram.
CJ King on Instagram. Or you can just look up the brand and God I Flex and you'll be able to find it. So
represent y'all.
You know, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you, Jayci, for being here with us today.
Yes.
Make sure you guys go like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at untitledconvos.podcast. Again, that's untitledconvos.podcast. And follow us on Twitter at Simply Untitled Convos. Well, not Simply Untitled Convos. At Untitled Convos. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.
Let's go.
Peace.